I think one of the best things about getting older is that you become a little bit wiser. You're able to see the world through a different lens than young folks do. Today, what I want to talk about a topic that has gotten a lot of attention over the past couple of days from all ends of all spectrums, all ends of the net, and even some mainstream media sources. And that's this girl right here. Now, I want to talk about this from a different perspective than most people. And the point that I want to hammer home, the thing that I really want young men to take home from this, there's 2 points. Number one, this is a man's world. And number two, you have way more power than you think you do. You know, I get the narrative is men are expendable, they're useless, they're completely not needed. And there are a lot of truths to that statement. Not in that men are useless or expendable or any of these degrading terms that are used, but men have lost their function. Men have lost their way. And you can point the finger this way, that way, or whatever, but as a man, as a man yourself, your individual person, you've got to take responsibility for yourself. If you fit that mold, if you fit that narrative, if you are useless, if you are expendable, then they're not lying about you. And unfortunately, this fits a whole lot of guys. On the right side of the totem pole, you've got the conservative red pill bros that are really quick to grab at the low-hanging fruit and use these as examples as, this is what's out there, man. It's not even worth it. This is how these guys' platform is built. It's easier to find examples of these women with no moral compass, with no self-respect, and throw rocks at them. That's what they do. That's what Fresh and Fit do. That's what whatever podcast does. That's what they do. And while, sometimes there's some truth being spoken, these dudes have an audience full of weak loser guys that love seeing women get picked on. And so, because of what men want, because of what young men want, that's what they get. These platforms get popular because that's what young men want to see. And so this cycle just keeps propagating itself. And so we see all of these attacks on masculinity and manhood, and men are starting to believe that they don't have function. But if men truly walked away, if men truly said, you know what, there's no reason for me to do this anymore, and the plumbers and the electricians, the line workers, the oil workers, if all of these men just decided to walk away, our society would collapse in a matter of days. Not weeks, not months, not years. It would be days. And all the people that talk about how useless men are would desperately look for the men that they have worked so hard to tear down. And so don't let them fool you, gentlemen. It's imperative for you to believe that you don't have agency. It's imperative for you to believe that there's no future, that there's no hope. And the reason for that is whenever you're going to go into take from a population who has a strong opposition force, it's always young men. Whenever you're going to make a tactical move, you've got to consider what kind of defenses do they have. America used to have generations of young men that were willing to sign their life away and go fight for what they believe to be the truth, for what they believe to be right. But they have taken away all of those things. God, country, family, all three of those things have been destroyed for all intents and purposes. That's pretty much, it's gone. And so young men have evacuated from any sort of faith. They've evacuated from the hope of family. And the country, at the highest levels, they have been demonized by people that are in office that are passing laws. And so when we have this dynamic going on, it's super, super easy for men to fall into this trap. But this is by design. It is by design that young men feel hopeless and weak and retreat into themselves. The second thing is your power. You see, men have walked away from these things, but the power that they're exerting, the place that they're retreating to, is a trap as well. And I didn't understand that. I didn't totally get it. I looked at the video game industry and how much this childish ideology permeates into these men's years. I have a nephew that's well into his 30s that's into Pokemon like he's a child. And he's a grown man. He handles his business. I love the dude. He's a good dude. But there's a arrested development. And knowing the way that he grew up, understanding how his environment was as a child, I understand that retreat. But what I've seen has been a beautiful systematic attack on the psyche, the physiology, and the biology of young men. And you can see the result of that when you look at how, when they pushed young men into solitude during this Resident Evil scam that they pulled on the world, men retreated further into the digital world. And in that they found whatever toxic poison that they were going to consume to occupy their time. So some of the guys fell into the grift of the pseudo alphas like Wes Watson and Andrew Tate and all the clones of those nerds. And then others fell in deep into the video game realm. They fell deep into the OF realm. And so these industries expanded. OF is expanding at 30% a year. That is insane growth. And these girls, I recently saw somewhere that a girl made over $40 million in a year. That is mind blowing to me, especially when you like the base subscriptions are usually not that expensive, to my understanding. It's like you're not paying Wes Watson $49,000 a year. These are pictures of feet and booty shots and whatever it is that these weirdos are requesting from these girls. These are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individual nerd losers that are living their life vicariously through that computer screen, paying these women, making them rich. And then all the examples that they're seeing, so they go over here, pay this girl for this information, this stimuli, and then they go watch Fresh and Fit, tell them how horrible women are by pulling on these same girls on their show. It is a cycle of debauchery. It is commercialized debauchery on a level, on a scale that's mind-blowing. But the thing that made me like just shake my head and marvel at how devious these demons are is how sexualized the video games have become. I come from the days of Atari, man, playing Pong with just a one little bloop, 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 bloop. That was the shit back in the 70s. That was it. Now there are characters that are in these video games that hit every biological trigger that a male can have. I'm a 54-year-old dude. I'm an old lion that is done chasing anything. I don't care what it looks like. It doesn't. Nothing makes me want to get off my perch and chase. I'm to that point in my life. I'm content. I've done all of the hunting that I'm to do, and I can see something that's beautiful or attractive, appreciate it, and not get that feeling that I need to start to sharpen my claws. I don't get that anymore. The other day, I was watching a video on YouTube and it was just an ad for a video game. I don't know what kind of video game it was. I'm assuming it was a console game. But the characters on this game, it was sexy, man. Like these are children's games. And the characters in these games, they were built like Jessica Rabbit, but they had demon horns. And so I went down a rabbit hole and just started looking at the new video game, the avatars of these games. They have sexualized this stuff to such a point to where even as a 54-year-old dude that is well off of that hunting ground, for a moment I saw that and I could feel those biological triggers, the curves, like everything that was depicted in that character was stimulating. And I started to think about that, the way that our culture has gone, the way that women have gone, the way that we have begun to accept things that once would have not, they not only would have not been accepted, they would have been castigated, they would have been judged at such a high level that anybody watching it would have never dared, at least if they did it, they would have never dared brag about it. And we've accepted these things. Women have they've become exactly the thing that they hated about men who didn't respect women. And men have become feminized versions of what they're supposed to be. And this starts at such a young age. Such a young age, these children that are thrown behind consoles and said, hey, you play this video game while mom is scrolling on whatever app she's trying to find her next succubus victim. These kids are being sexualized. Then they go to school and they got these weird perverts talking to them about things that they should never be talking to kids about. And all of these things are going on because along the way, men have accepted it. Men have ceded ground because they didn't want the conflict. Cowardly men have allowed demons to infiltrate even where our children grow up, even where our children go to learn. Now, what does any of this have to do with this nasty girl and her 101 Amtrak? A lot of people look at this, and rightfully so, talk about how nasty this girl is. But those 100 dudes that stood in that aisle, that hallway, butt naked, shoulder to shoulder with their dicks in their hands, grinning and skinning about what they were about to do, those dudes are nastier than her. And anybody that looks at this girl and is willing to put away the knowledge of who and what she is, nasty too. This mindset, this desperate mindset that those are excusable actions, that's why you get what you get. There was a point in time where men would not tolerate these things. Men wouldn't overlook these things. They wouldn't take my body count's none of your business. It's all of your business. Choosing the person that you're going to be with is probably the most important decision that you're going to make in your life. And so many people make that decision based off of what it looks like. You see, this girl is a perfect example of how what it looks like really doesn't matter. You look at the women that these dudes like Wes Watson and Andrew Tate and all the, these dudes that prop these women up as they're something. Those are demons, bro. Those are demons. And the idea that demons are going to come and be scary looking it's kind of retarded. That defeats the whole purpose. It's seductive. You see, this is a man's world. And the way that things have been, the way that things are right now, the way that women act, the way that women celebrate these things, they're doing these things because they are directly benefiting from men's acquiescence to this happy wife, happy life narrative. Men have subjugated themselves to this idea that a woman who is emotionally roller coaster all the time, that's the person that's going to determine whether or not my life is happy or not. And we've done this to ourselves. We've done this to ourselves to the point to where now our sons, our grandsons are dealing with what they're dealing with. But because this is a man's world, you can change that in your life. You can't change the internet. You can't change the world, but you can change the world that you live in. You can reset your algorithm. You see, for some people, these pictures, the Instagram booty girls, whatever it is that your trigger, whenever you go to whatever social media that you waste your time on, that's what feeds your homepage. That's the thing. The algorithm knows you're thirsty, knows what you like. Let me show you some of these BBL girls. Let me show you this booty girl on top of this dude's car. Oh yeah, she's selling some amino acids. Get some, man. Ooh, send her a message. Oh, she's got OF. Maybe she'll give me a picture of some peanut butter on her booty cheek or something. This is propagated. This algorithm, the place where you waste your time, it's smart and it knows that you can get what you want. You're a man, and so it gives you what you want. It gives you what you're looking for. And women have now been liberated. They've been encouraged to prop all women up. The woman who said that this is men's fault because they took advantage of this poor innocent girl, those are the same women that will never hold anyone accountable. And as long as there's thirsty men that are willing to pay for this, as long as there's thirsty men that are willing to hide and pretend that that's not what they do, as long as you can lie to yourself while you're choosing whatever avenue of debauchery that you justify, you're part of the problem. And if that's the way you move, if that's what you accept, then that's what you're going to accept in your own life. If you're attracted to women who move like that, you cannot be surprised when you find out that it's a snake. You have way more power than you think. If men collectively, I know this will never happen, but if it did, if you could snap your fingers and men, real men, the simps will simp. But if men that were on their purpose in a snap decided, you know what, I'm not tolerating anything that's below my standard, and start speaking the truth. The moment somebody enters your sphere of influence, the moment someone enters your space, the moment someone interacts with you, they're a part of your movie, not you part of them. The moment something doesn't meet your standard, you're done with it. The moment you see this beautiful girl, the moment you see that she's nothing but a thought trap, done. It doesn't matter what she looks like. It doesn't matter what she says. Of course you're the most interesting guy she's ever met. Of course you're different than everybody else. Of course you're special. Now be done. Be done. If somebody is in your sphere of influence, you're getting on your grind, trying to get your physicality right. If these people are dragging you down, you're done. Those people do not belong in your world. Let them be losers by themselves. But on the level of who you choose, who you entertain, who you give anything to, even a like on social media, you don't owe anybody anything. And I promise you, you're not going to get any return on that investment. Those people, those girls who put themselves out like that, they are not looking for you. You will not be the one who breaks through and, oh, she's going to see that I'm different. No, she won't. You'll be the same sucker as all the ones that are right behind you and right in front of you. You see, while this girl is nasty, she's a perfect picture of what we've allowed as men. They celebrate, we accept. Respect all women, even women who do that. No, sir, you don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't disrespect her. But if all men started turning away from this sort of activity, this sort of behavior, this sort of display, it would change. This is a man's world. You have more power than you think, so use it. Out.